How did you get into this field of ufology, if that's the right word to use?
Yeah, well, I was kind of dragged into it against my will, kicking and screaming the whole way. Honestly, I did not believe in this subject. I was repulsed by it.
Oh, wow.
Just pretty darn sure that the stars were too far away and ETs could not be here.
Yeah.
Of course, pure speculation, pure assumption, and completely ignoring all the evidence. Did not know about it. But that, of course, all changed. And lucky for me, I was pretty young. Let's see, this was 1986. That would make me 21 years old. There was a report on the news about a sighting over Alaska. I'm sure you've heard of it. JAL Airlines, Captain Kenji Torochi. It's a real famous case.
Oh my gosh, I feel horrible. I don't think I know that one.
No, you probably do.
Maybe I've heard it in passing. It's not clicking right now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a famous case. I can say that, where this Japanese commercial airliner was basically followed by a UFO for, I don't know, 50 or 100 miles, about an hour. It was on their radar. The whole crew saw it. It's huge. It's a great case. This was on the news.
I saw something on the Y-Files about this. Maybe probably not. I don't know. Yeah, probably, right? Like at some point.
There's so many cases out there. It's almost impossible to keep up.
It really is. It does sound a little familiar, especially with the whole flight crew seeing it. And it was you said it was a Japanese airliner?
Yeah, commercial airliner.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I think I just don't know any details more than that.
Well, the news,
so you heard about this case in the news and you were like,
yeah, look at this pilot. He's crazy.
Yeah.
He thinks he saw a UFO. Clearly he couldn't have, because they don't exist. And the news report was very tongue-in-cheek, very joking, didn't take it seriously, awkward laughter, the whole way it was treated, especially back then. But it interested me because I remembered my older brother, Mark, said he'd seen a UFO. This was like 5 years earlier or so. I was maybe 14. And he came running into the house, I saw a UFO. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Didn't listen to him. But after hearing this news report, I asked him about it. And I was impressed. Now I guess I was ready to listen. I don't know. But he described it, your classic flying saucer with a dome and colored lights, silent treetop level, chased it in his car down the street. This is in Reseda, Southern California.
Wow. He
had 2 friends with him. He's like, talk to them. Phil and Greg, his friends. I'm like, yeah. They'll confirm this. So I did, and of course they did. Provided more details, and that kind of set the ball rolling, because I found out my sister, soon to be sister-in-laws, both had some sightings. My sister-in-law saw gray ETs face to face. I had friends who had sightings very close up. People at work. I worked at a business office. One had missing time, another had an encounter with grays again. So, it literally hit home. It knocked me over. I was not happy. It was pretty upsetting. I felt a little bit scandalized because, this is not taught in schools. People I loved and trusted had basically lied to me by not telling me. It's kind of how I felt.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it took a good year to adjust. It really did. I started.
You felt like they let you down by not telling you in a way. That's interesting. Yeah. But what if they didn't know the truth, or you mean their own stories,
right,
about it? Yeah. Okay, I see.
I accused them, and they said you wouldn't have believed me. Yeah, I basically started asking all my family members, friends, and coworkers if they'd seen UFOs, and of course, many of them had.
Yeah,
and it was pretty upsetting because this wasn't being taught in schools. It wasn't being taken seriously in the media. I started buying books on the subject, hoping I could disprove what people I knew about were seeing. And of course I couldn't. The books were very convincing. And found out about MUFON, Mutual UFO Network, joined them, said, give me all your journals dating all the way back to when you started. I want to find out what's going on here. Became a field investigator, took their test to become a field investigator, which was pretty difficult, actually. They said, this is a take-home test. Take your time, do it. I thought, take-home test, this is going to be easy. No, It was not. There was a lot of questions on meteorology and cameras and all kinds of stuff. So astronomy,
Okay.
of course.
Oh,
But I did
interesting.
really well. I
Yeah.
started investigating my own cases, and
I'm
basically,
glad they weren't like, go find a UFO. You're like, this is gonna be, I'm gonna be here forever, right? Like, they're like, that's how you got to pass the test. You're like, oh my god, that's funny.
yeah. Well, they did start referring me cases right away. So who knew?
That's
I mean,
cool. That's
there was
great. Like
a lot.
local, I'm assuming, is that how it
Yeah,
sort of operates, right? That's what makes MUFON so cool in that way, right?
yeah,
Got
exactly.
local people to send
Yeah,
out.
it
Okay.
was. Once I had kind of sunk my teeth into this subject, it started to get even more fascinating because there's just so much to it. The UFO cover-up was really disconcerting. Really,
So you were feeling it back then,
Oh
even
yeah,
that pressure or stigma when you went out to investigate, if you
oh
will,
yeah.
right? Like pushback, maybe if you're trying to ask questions, or what does that look like? Like, MUFON calls you out to an investigation. Comedically, I picture like a bat phone in your house that rings and you go pick it up and slide down and just, I mean, what does it look like exactly? Like you get a phone call and they tell you where to
Well,
go. I don't
in
know.
essence, yeah, we would have monthly meetings. We actually met. It was just a small group at this point, maybe 10, 20 people in the local back room of the bank, where we would have monthly MUFON meetings, and the section director would say, okay, we got these 5 cases. Who wants to cover this one? Who wants to cover that one? Of course, my hand
Oh,
always went up, and I'm like, yeah, that one
yeah.
sounds interesting.
Okay.
So, yeah, those were the good old days. That was fun.
That's kind of
This is,
cool, right? That seems so fun and like exciting, right? Like monthly meetings, you get a case. I mean, God, do they still do this? If not, they should.
oh
This just
yeah,
sounds so cool.
it's a bit different now. I mean, to
It's
become a
probably
field
online now
investigator,
more, right?
right?
Where that probably felt more cool. Like you're at a table, you get a file, there's like a physical, I don't know. I like that idea more.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little older, so I remember the paper days.
Yeah, this was well
Like,
before computers.
yeah. Okay, so that's cool. So you get the case file, and then what? You have like your own time to just investigate different facts or details that are in there, right?
Right.
Chase down
Well, you meet
different.
with the witness, you give them the 20-page form where they check all the little boxes and do a little drawing and try to find out if you can get any corroboration. You vet the witness as best as you can and do all the
Sure.
fact checking and all that goes into any investigation, really, with any subject.
What was like the coolest case you got doing that,
Oh gosh,
or the one I don't
um,
know, or one you remember, or
uh, I didn't get a whole lot of great ones from MUFON, honestly. There was one involving entities where the lady just did not want to talk to me. But I was
oh
getting my own
really?
personal cases a lot more
Oh,
easily from first
okay.
family, friends, and coworkers. But I have 5 brothers and sisters, and so they all have friends. And
This
at
is
the
cool. You're
office,
like
there
an
was
independent PI, like do it. You know what I mean? You went out on your own. I like this. Okay, that's
I built
cool.
a network up pretty quick
Wow.
of people coming to me because in
Sure.
private, in public, people profess skepticism, but when no one's around, they'll come up to you all embarrassed.
I
And
say that all the time to my friends because, my friends aren't into this. They'll be like, oh, you got an alien podcast. Right. And then I'm like, man. And then at first I'm like, remember the story you told me? They've got their own story they've told me and they still will rag on me. But that's it. Once you get people alone and kind of talking, they've all got a story. Everybody's got something they've heard or a personal or a family member.
yeah.
It is amazing,
We had
honestly.
one family friend who, we'd known for years and years. Finally, after I was 5 or 10 years into this, he came forward with his sighting, which was just a basic anomalous light, but clearly anomalous because this thing zoomed across the sky, stopped, turned at a right angle, it's darting all over the place.
Oh, wow.
Nothing that we can do.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I guess I did see a UFO. Because he himself, like many witnesses, goes through a whole process of trying to explain this away or even ignoring it and just not thinking about it.
It's a good point. The 5 steps of what, acknowledging a UFO sighting, right? denial, right? Like there's different part, right? Like that's
grief,
interesting. Yeah, yeah,
bargaining and
yeah.